Victor Oladipo has been fantastic for the Indiana Pacers to start the season, as he has been everything that they wanted from him after they acquired him in the Paul George trade, and a bit more, as he is averaging 26 points a game on some ridiculous efficiency. And the crazy thing about this is, I don't know if anybody really saw this coming. I mean, last season in OKC for Oladipo, he had to play off of Westbrook the entire time, so I guess it's understandable to see an offensive increase. But where it has gone is actually pretty nuts. There is definitely some truth in the sense of Oladipo had to play off of Westbrook so much, wasn't able to shoot as many times as he wanted to. I mean, that entire season for OKC really was the Russell Westbrook average a triple-double for a season show, take all the shots in the fourth quarter, and everybody else just be ready for your opportunity. Whereas now, Oladipo is not in that situation. He is just allowed to have one of the biggest green lights in the NBA and be the leader of a young team, doing him great for himself. So let's go into some detail about it. The first thing that I'm noticing with Oladipo is how comfortable he is with his jump shot. So for his career, he is actually shooting a little under league average from three. Basically 35%, but a little bit under. And he's actually only had one season ever where he's shot above 35% from outside, and that was actually last season with the Thunder. This year, Oladipo is shooting 45% from three while attempting nearly 6 a game. And I think what's so interesting about it is how much confidence he has with these jumpers. I mean, he's rising up on pull-ups, he's taking these shots with opponents right in his face on these contested shots. He's really feeling himself on a lot of these threes, and that makes me believe dude was just putting in a lot of work in the offseason, because he's kind of getting his Steph Curry on with some of these attempts. Now, do I think it's fair to expect it to dip down a little bit? Yeah, because of the degree of difficulty, as well as he's just never done this from outside. But regardless, this is a huge offensive leap for Oladipo, because I think his biggest criticism for a while was that he really didn't do one thing that well on offense. But if he's going to have the ability to just be a knockdown shooter, that's really something. And I also have to applaud Nate McMillan, who I didn't think I'd be doing that much, with running like floppy sets basically for Oladipo and just putting him in good positions to where he can be off ball and catch and just fire away. It helps that Indiana does have a few good playmakers, Darren Collison, Corey Joseph being another one. So Oladipo's jumper has been great. Hopefully he can carry it throughout the season. And I think that's the one real reason why he's had this offensive explosion. But it's not just from beyond the arc with which he's killing it, because he's actually shooting well over league average when it comes to just shots at the rim. Or in the paint, I should say. 55% in the painted area, and he's really starting to remind me of like prime Dwayne Wade with his craftiness. The way that he can just get the defender off balance from around, 12 to 15 feet, get a shot over him, and have just enough space to where he can knock it down. So if Oladipo is going to be knocking down threes and floaters and all that, then the rest of the league's got a problem. As for his playmaking, he's always been a guy who I felt like could really go to a different level when it comes to his assists. He's actually under this season. He's only at around 3 assists a game, but I wouldn't be surprised if this went up, given that throughout his career, he's actually had quite a few seasons where he's averaged over 4 assists a game. Now, whether the turnovers will also explode or not, I don't know, but I do think it's something to make note of. Besides the game in Miami, he really hasn't had a big assist night. But I would not be surprised if that crept up, especially as the reputation for him really being a scorer builds, and then he's going to have to make plays for other guys. So I would not be surprised if those assists started to go up for him. But now we got to talk about his attacking of the basket and the athletic plays that he is making. And this is what really reminds me of prime Dwayne Wade for the dude. And of course, he's not as good as that, but he's showing some glimpses, I'm just saying. Because the way that he's been attacking the basket has been pretty nuts. And I think with Oladipo, he's actually looking more athletic than he's ever looked, at least in my opinion. And that's not to say that he could never move well. I mean, he was one of the more agile players in the league, I would say. But it seems like now he's even taken it to another level. And his handle, which was always solid, it just seems like that as well has just gotten better with crossovers, in and out moves, whatever you want. It just seems like Oladipo has had a complete offensive improvement in all areas. His ball handling has improved. He's finishing at the basket. I mean, it's 65% right now, which is just great. The jumper's looking great. He's just a significantly better player. The question is going to be, of course, if he can actually maintain this throughout the entire season. But as of right now, the way Oladipo is looking, it seems like he was very much worth it in the Paul George trade. A lot of us, including me, were saying that what Indiana got back, especially because they didn't get any first-round picks back, really wasn't much. But if Oladipo can keep this up, then I think that narrative is going to change. Now, whether he actually can, that's the question. Now, Miles Turner has not been playing because of a concussion. It should be interesting to see what happens once he comes back. You have to believe he and Oladipo will make each other better, given that they're both talented offensive players. And I mentioned him earlier, we should give some credit to Darren Collison. The guy's averaging like 15 points and 8 assists right now. So to have another quality ball handler for this team, it's got to be helping out Oladipo as well.